If you are thinking that it's because the treats they sell are overpriced and that you can get just more of them for less at the grocery store, you'd be half right. However, I personally have another reason for not ever wanting a treat from them. This experience happened when I was 10 years old. I had just gotten through with the last day of school, which meant I had 2 months of games, movies, and reading, among other things to look forward to. Everything went smoothly for the first couple of weeks. That is until the ice cream truck came into my neighborhood. This ice cream truck's music was a bit different than what would normally be heard. It sounded a bit slower. Now, back then I used to really enjoy getting treats from ice cream trucks. I would always get excited every time I heard its music in the distance. And my parents were nice enough to give me money to purchase something from one. Not too often, as it wouldn't be healthy. But every week or so, my favourite treats were usually the ones that were in the shape of characters' faces with gumball eyes. I say usually because sometimes they wouldn't look like the characters they were supposed to resemble, and instead look like twisted and warped versions of them. They still tasted good though. Anyway, the aforementioned ice cream truck didn't look out of the ordinary. I didn't get any weird feelings from it or anything like that. And everyone else seemed fine after eating food from it. The only thing unusual at the time was the fact that the ice cream man seemed to signal me out from all the other kids. The ice cream man looked a bit young to be working an ice cream truck, but otherwise he looked fine. "Psst, hey kid," he called out to me as I walked by. I stopped and looked over to him. He asked me if I wanted anything from his truck. "Oh, I really do, but I don't have any money on me." "You don't need any, kid. I want to give you something on the house." "On the house?" "It means for free." "Oh, why do you want to give me something for free?" "I like your shirt," he said, pointing to it. I was wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt at the time. "Thanks. Are you a fan?" "Yes. The Cell Saga is my favorite. As a matter of fact," he said, then pulled out a wrapped ice cream bar. On it, I saw Perfect Cell's face. "I haven't seen these at the store. Where did you get them?" "I made them myself. I'm planning on selling them, and I want you to sample one from me." My parents had warned me about taking things from strangers. I was about to politely decline, but then he told me to catch and tossed the ice cream bar to me. I managed to catch it. Then he told me he'd be back tomorrow around the same time to tell him what I thought of it. My parents noticed the new treat I had when I got home, then asked about it. I told them how I got it and about the conversation I had with the ice cream man. My parents found it odd, but after examining the ice cream bar and not finding anything off about it, they handed it back to me. The ice cream bar was impressive. It looked almost exactly like Cell. The only thing left for me to do was to see how it tasted. Based on the mostly green color, I figured it would be some kind of green apple or lime flavor. One of my guesses was half right. It turned out to taste like key lime pie, and it was amazing. If I'm being honest, I was stunned by how good it was. Nothing happened when I ate the ice cream that first day. I told the ice cream man what I thought of it. "Glad to hear you enjoyed it. How about another?" "Really?" "Of course. I have plenty more flavors I want you to try." "Not that I don't appreciate the free ice cream, but why are you only giving it to me?" "Simple. I think you're a cool kid." "Oh, thanks." "Don't mention it. Now for today, I have a Fraser ice cream bar." "What flavor is it?" "Strawberry cheesecake." "Ooh," I exclaimed, eagerly taking it. "Enjoy. Say, I never got your name yesterday." "Brad, what about yours?" "Kevin. Now you run along and try that ice cream." "Hey, can I get a couple more of them to share with my parents?" "Sorry, I only want you to try this ice cream." I found this odd, but didn't think much of it. Once again, I went home to eat the ice cream I got. Not only did it taste almost exactly like strawberry cheesecake, it also had a nearly identical texture to it. I gobbled it up, even faster than I had the Cell bar. At that point, I was starting to get addicted to them. The following day, Kevin gave me a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan-shaped bar, which turned out to be a banana pudding flavored. The only thing different about it from the other ice cream bars is when I ate it. The other ones I ate right away, but this one I had at night. I didn't get a chance to try the ice cream during the day since I had an appointment. When I got back, I could have sworn I saw Kevin's ice cream truck far off in the distance. I did a double take and saw that it was gone. I brushed this off, then went inside. After eating my dinner, I grabbed the ice cream bar and then headed upstairs. I decided that I would enjoy it more if I watched while eating the Cell vs SSJ2 Gohan fight. I still had a VHS of it, so I popped it in, then unwrapped the ice cream, and while I was eating, things got weird. Nothing weird happened with the episode itself. It played fine. The weird thing was this movement I kept noticing outside of the TV, but I only noticed it when I was focused on the episode. The movement appeared to be rippling. However, when I tried looking directly at the ripple, it went away. I figured that this must be what Kevin warned me about. I didn't find it to be so bad. I ignored it, then watched the rest of the episode, then got ready for bed and went to sleep. I woke up to find that it was still nighttime. At first, I thought it was just early. However, when I looked at my clock, I saw that it was 10 in the morning. My second thought was that my clock was broken, so I went downstairs to check the stove clock and see what time it really was. When I got to the stove clock, I saw that it too displayed 10 in the morning. What really struck me as odd was that no time seemed to pass by. Between me looking at my clock and checking the stovetop one, at least a couple of minutes should have passed. I tried changing the clock's time, but it wouldn't. No matter how many times I hit the button, it wouldn't change. I thought about waking my parents, but it still seemed too early to do so. I figured it wouldn't be too long until morning. I decided to pass the time by playing some Melee with the volume down, since I didn't feel like going back to sleep. Here's where I started to get weirded out. I didn't realize just how long I had been playing for. I was able to unlock Mewtwo during that time. Keep in mind that playing alone, that took 20 hours, unless you did the plugged-in controller trick, but I didn't know about it at the time. When I saw his silhouette appear for me to beat and unlock him, I dropped my controller and began to wonder just how long I had been there. My next thought was why my parents hadn't interrupted me. I looked out the window to see it was still night. I checked the clock again. It still said 10 in the morning. How could I have played uninterrupted for 20 hours? Even if my parents didn't want to bother me, hunger would have pulled me away. I went upstairs to wake my parents. However, no matter how much I knocked, they wouldn't answer. I tried calling their names. Nothing. Finally, I tried the doorknob. Usually they lock it, just in case I were to barge in without knocking, a bad habit I used to have. Thankfully, I never saw anything I wasn't supposed to. Anyway, the door turned out to be unlocked, which made me suspicious, but I pushed the door open anyway. I found my parents' bed was empty. Had they gone somewhere, I thought. If so, why didn't they tell me? And why were they gone for so long? Did something happen to them? I didn't panic straight away. Instead, I used our home phone to try and call my parents' cell phones. We still had a landline at the time. When I picked up the phone to call, I didn't hear anything. Not even a dial tone. It was on, so I should have heard something, but I didn't hear a thing. My next thought was to go over to my friend's house. He was right up the street. I could ask to use his landline and try to call my parents from there. I got on my shoes, then headed outside. The air felt different. It's hard to explain, but it felt way too still. I began to worry and considered going back inside. I rationalized that going to my friend's house wouldn't take too long. I ran to it and rang the doorbell. Nobody answered. I tried knocking. Still nothing. I tried the doorknob, just like with my parents' bedroom door. It was unlocked. I went in to find that it was empty. I checked their stove clock. Theirs also said 10 in the morning. I tried their phone. Once again, I heard nothing. When I put the phone back onto the receiver, I heard a noise in the distance. It was the sound of an ice cream truck. Not just any ice cream truck. It was Kevin's. I thought that he'd be able to help me, so I headed to where I could hear the sound of his truck's music. "Brad, what are you doing out so late?" he asked when I finally reached him. I informed him of all the weird stuff that had been going on. Then I asked if anything similar had been happening to him. "Can't say it has. Hey, I have my cell here. Why don't you use it to call your parents?" I reached for it, but something stopped me. I noticed Kevin giving me a weird look, like he was sizing me up. I quickly pulled my hand back, causing Kevin to give me a confused look. "You know what? I think I'll just go home and wait a little longer for my parents." "You sure? They might be in trouble." I nodded, then started to head back. As I did so, I saw that the houses seemed to be moving further away. I rubbed my eyes then looked again. Sure enough, it was like the road was stretching, widening the gap between me and my house. I ran in an attempt to reach it, but it was no use. The only other thing I could think to do was to try and go into the nearest house. Unlike my friend's house, however, this one was locked. I tried some other houses and got the same result. "Having trouble?" I heard Kevin ask me from behind me, causing me to spin around. His truck was back in front of me. I didn't hear it at all. His music was off, but I still should have heard the engine. I was at a loss of words for a moment. "Kinda. Are you following me? Wait, what are you doing here anyway? It's the middle of the night." "Just passing through. Hey, while I'm here, want some ice cream?" Surprisingly enough, I did. "Do you have any new flavors?" "As a matter of fact, yes. Imagine Boo Bubblegum Ice Cream Bar," he said, waving the wrapped ice cream bar in front of him. I saw that it was a fat Boo. I began to reach for it, but Kevin seemed a little too eager for me to take it, and I noticed that hungry look in his eyes again. I paused. "Hey, these ice cream bars you've been giving me are pretty good. Have you been selling any of them?" "Yeah," Kevin replied. But he hesitated for a sec. "Why did you pick me to try your new ice cream flavors?" "I thought that'd be obvious by now. It's because you like Dragon Ball Z just like me." "So do some of the other kids in my neighborhood. In fact, I saw one in a freezer shirt buying ice cream from you, and he was alone. Why didn't you give him any of the ice cream you gave me?" Now Kevin started to look agitated. As he tried to think of something to say, I noticed movement from the corner of my eye. It looked like the houses were dancing. I looked back to the house I was currently at. It too was dancing, as if in one of those old black and white cartoons. "Kevin, what is going on?" I asked, looking back at him. What I saw in that ice cream truck made my heart stop. Kevin's eyes were pitch black. Not only that, but he was leaning halfway out of his truck. His arms had grown to an unnaturally long size and had been reaching for me when my back was turned. I fell back when I saw this. "I can't take it anymore. I'm so hungry," he groaned. "Stay away from me," I yelled, then began running. No sooner than I had did the truck's music blare back to life. I screamed for help, but to no avail. I ran as fast as I could, but of course Kevin in his ice cream truck was able to catch up to me with ease. He snatched me off the sidewalk, pulling me into his truck. The inside of it was much larger than the outside. Once inside, he cuffed me to the wall. Are you really gonna eat me?" I hesitantly asked. "Sorry to say, Brad, but I am." "Just let me go. I swear I won't tell anyone." "I can't do that. Not after all the trouble I went through to get you here." "In the truck?" "No. If I wanted to do that, I would have just grabbed you from day one." "So why didn't you?" "I couldn't risk someone noticing. I had to get you where I'm from." "How did you... the ice cream?" "Bingo. It's fine to eat during the day, but eat it at night and you get taken here. To be honest, I didn't think it would happen this quickly. Usually the kids end up eating ice cream for a week before I take them." "You mean you've eaten other kids?" "Of course. Dave made tasty treats." "Treats?" He then reached into his cooler and pulled out multiple ice cream bars. These had kids' faces on them, and I recognized some of them from news reports saying that they had gone missing. I'll bet you'll be tasty too. That imagination of yours is decadent. I haven't sensed one as powerful as yours in quite a while. I racked my brain for a way out. The only thing I could think of was if eating the ice cream got me here, maybe it could get me out. The issue was the cuffs. Then I realized something. You see, I had long-sleeve pajamas on at the time. When Kevin cuffed me, he forgot to take into account the extra space it would create. Luckily, only my arms were cuffed. I slipped out of them with all my strength. He was furious to only see my shirt on the wall. I wasted no time in opening the cooler and grabbing an ice cream bar. I unwrapped it, then took a bite before he could grab me. Instantly, everything around me began to spin and fade to black. The last thing I heard before I passed out was Kevin cursing in a demonic voice. When I woke up, I was back in my bed. The sun had just started to rise. In my hand was the ice cream bar. It was of a kid I didn't recognize. I went downstairs. My parents were surprised I was up so early for summer. I muttered good morning to them, then threw the rest of the ice cream in the trash. I haven't seen Kevin or his ice cream truck since. I'd know it by the music it plays. I doubt Kevin was his real name, and I have no clue what he, or maybe I should say it, really was. But I do know this. While I still enjoy ice cream immensely, I haven't purchased some from an ice cream truck since the incident. And I never will. Again.